Hello, darling. This is River Roaring, celebrating the luminous life force in us all. Hello, darling. I'm River Roaring, and today I want to talk about something that I think is almost like the secret to all of life on Earth for humans. I mean, it's just so big. It's about your shadow. The treasure is in our shadow, and especially in love, sex, and intimacy. So, I don't know what's more important than this issue for humanity right now. Desire that we have doesn't disappear just because we've trained ourselves to ignore it. The most people on Earth who are tired are not actually tired from physical exhaustion. At least I'll speak for the United States. In the US, most people are not tired because of physical exhaustion. They're tired because they're constantly suppressing parts of their self. So when we liberate and balance all of our parts, we can finally be in our full power, finally be the person we came here to be. This is especially true with our sexuality. So what are you talking about, River? What is a shadow? When I'm going to use the word shadow here today, I mean the part of you that you consider bad, unacceptable, the part of you that you think is wrong, shameful, or an aspect of you that you just cannot see. You just think you don't have it. So those are the shadow. When we don't want to look at something, that's probably your shadow. Do you have something that you really do not like in the rest of the world? Because it's probably true that if you look at yourself, you don't like that part of yourself. So if there's anything you don't like, it usually starts by us noticing we don't like it in others. But that's just pointing back to the fact that we don't like that part of ourselves. So if there's something you don't like, if there's something you don't like to talk about, if there's something you're really embarrassed about, that's shadow. So typically in our culture, we don't want to look at the shadow because we're conditioned to, we're all supposed to be a certain way and march in order, and it was like we could be outcast. It's not a joke because in history, if we were kicked out of the tribe, we would die. And that's still in our bodies. So we want to belong. We want to be included. That's human nature. And in our culture, in the mainstream, you're not accepted if you are, unless you're a certain way. And so this culture really encourages us to have shadow, because this culture doesn't accept big parts of itself, or people in this culture typically don't accept really big parts of themselves. And so that means they want us to be in a small way. And therefore we have tons of shadow, which means we have so much potential for growth. Because our shadow, the quote-unquote bad side of us, and the light or the quote-unquote good sides of us that we really love and we love to tell other people about and emphasize that we have those parts. The shadow and the light inside of us seek balance. Balance is the way of nature. So that means, like, if I repress my shadow, I don't want it to come out. I don't want you to see the parts of me that I'm embarrassed about. Well, the shadow is going to seek balance and squirt out or leak out or blow up and explode out when you don't want it to. Those times when, like, I've had this times where I don't know where it came from, but my voice just got so angry all of a sudden. And I was like lashing out at someone. And like, where did that even come from? Or maybe it's in traffic. Like someone doesn't use their blinker and all of a sudden you're like, what the? What is going on? So if you repress the shadow only becomes hostile when it's ignored or misunderstood and not allowed to express itself. So the more we ignore it, suppress it, act like that part of us isn't there, the bigger it gets, the more powerful it gets. And it usually manifests as fear. So if there's something you fear, that's your shadow. When we're running in our nightmares from monsters, we're running from our shadow. And so the shadow and the light are seeking balance. And if we shove the shadow down, it just starts popping out at uncontrolled times in uncontrolled ways. And so there is huge power available to you and available to me, mega power available when we can balance these two in us, the shadow and the light, the things that we consider. I'm not saying that there's anything that's good or bad. I'm saying the things you think are good and the things you think are bad. So which each one of us puts meaning on things, and I'm not saying that there is any good or bad. What I'm talking about here is whatever you think is good and whatever you think is bad can come into a more friendly relationship and be balanced. It's not being good that makes us holy. It's uniting the good and evil that gives us a way to the transcendent. The balanced is the holy, the divine union. If you've heard of the divine union between the divine masculine and the divine feminine, this is a tale of balancing all polarity. So when we can learn to be with, look, I have inside me really parts that I define as good and parts that I define as bad. I have parts I'm more proud of and I have parts I'm more embarrassed about. We learn to sit in paradox. Like, they're both true. I'm good, I'm bad. I'm like happy, I'm sad. I'm kind, I'm unkind. And I can be with that paradox. When we can be with the paradox of all of life, they're both true. This is where all creative energy lies. It's a powerful embracing of all of reality. So, in the sexual world, are there things that you believe are bad? In the world of intimacy and connection with romantic partner, are there things you think in that area are bad? Those are very important places to look for your own shadow when it comes to sexuality, and your own shadow when it comes to intimacy with another. When you think of connecting intimately with someone, is there anything that you think is bad about that, or that could be bad about it, or anything you want to run and hide from about that in that area? So if you survey yourself and think about, is there anything in sex that I think is bad? Well, our culture certainly has a very long list of that, doesn't it? What would I do with that if I wanted to come into balance and harness all this power that the shadow holds? So let's say that I have a sexual fantasy that I think is bad. I really think it's bad. It's not good. That's a reflection of my own shadow there, the thing I think that's bad. So what would I do to harness the power of that part of my shadow? Here's what we want to do. We want to hear what the shadow side has to say and give it a voice. We want to tell the truth and express it all. So if there's something you just don't want to talk about when it comes to your sex or your intimacy, or if you have a sexual fantasy that you feel is just bad, it needs to express itself. I put this into 3 steps for the shadow. Step number 1, awareness. Become aware of your shadow. Meaning, when it's interesting because shadow means something we can't see, and typically we can't see it. Therefore, it takes a conscious desire to become aware of the shadow, and you have to say, I want to see my shadow. And then sit in some stillness, meditation, and be with your dreams, your visions. Ask yourself also the things that you don't like, that you get upset you in other people, and then see if that upsets you in yourself or you don't want to see that part of yourself. So the first step is becoming aware that I have a shadow. So let's say that with my sexual fantasy example, I'm like, okay, I let my dreams run wild last night, and it stumbled upon a fantasy or a dream or vision, a daydream, that I am pretty embarrassed about. I think that's pretty bad. I'm aware I have a shadow. Number 2, after awareness, expression. Honest expression. Give it a voice. So what would that mean for me? For me, it would mean in my fantasy, go ahead and have that fantasy and dive in. I mean, dive in. Give it a real expression and say, look, sexual fantasy, what is it you're trying to say? Here's the microphone. Just say it. Just show yourself. Just in all of your glory. Where do you lead? What does this open up to? What happens next in this crazy sexual fantasy? Just go with it. I want to see it all. I want to see it all. Don't stop the fantasy. Let it roll out. Express itself. Honestly, it has a voice. Step number 1, awareness. Step number 2, expression. Step number 3, acceptance and forgiveness. I just love the sexual fantasy area because I've had only bad sexual fantasies. I'm the only kind I have. And I'm really comfortable with that. And so I have accepted those parts of myself. And I have forgiven myself fully for anything that I felt before was wrong about having those ideas. And I forgive myself for calling myself wrong. And I forgive myself for thinking that some part of me was bad and not worthy of having a voice, that it wasn't part of me, that I was disowning that part. I forgive myself. So not only do I accept my raunchy, completely bad sexual fantasies, which I've totally accepted and I totally love them, I've accepted the thing that was the shadow, and then I've also accepted and forgiven myself for all the time that I exiled that part of myself. I also forgive that and accept that. Yep, that's me. I have pretty crazy sexual fantasies, and sometimes I have judged them. That's acceptance, and I forgive myself and love myself fully, 100%, including the fantasies and including the part that started out scared and judgmental of the fantasies, all of it. I love myself and I accept myself. Those fantasies are gorgeous, as is all the other parts of me. So we bring light to the darkness when we explore all of our dreams and all of our fantasies, especially sexual fantasies, without restraint. We give shadow dignity and truth. We bring gratitude and love to our shadow. The courage with which we carry out our own, with which we carry our own darkness, the courage we show when we carry our own darkness, frees others from having to carry it for us. And I really love that. If I don't have the courage to carry these things myself and love these parts of myself, they're just going to keep bursting out on everybody else and leaking out. And it can come out as total projection, where I'm judging other people and lashing out at them for doing the things that I don't want to see in myself. And it all just gets very depleting and exhausting. And that takes us to the beginning of the program, where I said that's what's exhausting everyone so much in this world right now, in the United States at least. So give your own parts that you're the most embarrassed, ashamed about, the parts that you feel are bad, give them a way to express themselves. That does not take over who you are. So so this is a great example here with the sexual fantasy. So I have sexual fantasies that are, like I said, very, quote, bad, unquote. And things happen inside them that would be very dangerous in real life. And so I give myself a way to express my fantasy that does not actually harm me or anyone else, or actually take over my identity as a person who has integrity and does not harm other people. So the real River doesn't harm other people and doesn't let herself get harmed by other people. But in the sexual fantasy, the shadow side does do those things. And I give my sexual fantasy a way to express itself, which is I let it unfold in my imagination fully and see it in all its glory and unfurl itself, and I accept it and love it in my imagination. I gave it that place to express itself, my imagination, so that it doesn't try to express itself in any other way, so that I don't actually in real life harm someone or let myself be harmed in real life. So I've given my shadow a way to have a voice, be seen, and have expression I've consciously done that in a way that does not actually consume my identity. So other ways to do this would be such as writing down the things that are your shadow and burning them. And then also saying, fully accept you, I love you, you're a beautiful part of myself. And I don't have to express you all the time in real life. I love you, and for now, go into the fire. Just, I see you and I love you, and when you want to come back, I'll be here for you then as well. Also, ways of expressing that maybe won't consume you as a being would be to shout or scream or cry, or maybe sing or dance or move, or maybe work out or go to the boxing ring or run 10 miles. Or maybe have more wild sexual fantasies. So I have a free guide for sexual fantasies. It's called The Lost Art of Sexual Fantasy. And I'm going to put the link in the description and the show notes here, so you can access the free guide, The Lost Art of Sexual Fantasy. And I am so excited to gift that to you, because I hope that it will help you free up your own sexual fantasies in the wildest way, that would help you liberate into all of the beautiful parts of yourself, the parts you've seen and the parts you haven't yet seen, the parts that you maybe formerly might have been afraid and to go to, and the parts that you can start to love on now. Sexual Fantasy Guide. I hope you'll grab your free Lost Art of Sexual Fantasy. I'll put the link in the description, and I hope it liberates you to find new parts of your shadow and embrace those parts. To me, the sexual part of our shadows is the funnest to play with, of funnest part of my shadow to play with. In intimacy, it would be another example. Like in intimacy, is there anything that you're afraid of when it comes to intimacy? Like, oh, well, I do want to be really loving and truthful with my partner, but I would never want them to know about this. And I do want to be honest, but not in this area. Well, I would tell them anything other than this. Like if there's something like, I'd rather my partner not see this part of me, my closest intimate partner. Bing, 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 there's your shadow, and the gold is in there. The treasure is in there. So for me, that might look like, honey, I am so embarrassed to tell you this. I'm just super embarrassed, but this thing happened, or I had these feelings, or, I want you to know what I did yesterday, or, I just want to out this and show you who I really am and bring the truth to it and the light to it. And I've done it before in ways that are very hard, this is very embarrassing, but I want to share something about myself. That kind of embracing all that is really the most profound divine experience we can even have. The most profound divine union is when good and evil meet and everything's okay. What if all the parts of you are beautiful? What if every single part of you is worthy of your own love? What if all the things that are in you and your being and your past and your present are all forgiven? And we can look at them, and we can see them, and we can accept them. That's where the power is. That's where the treasures are for the future of humanity. Why would I say this would be about the future of humanity? Because the best part of all of this whole thing about the treasure being in the shadow and the exciting union and balance we can bring when we embrace all the parts is that as inside, so outside. As inside, so outside. As outside, so inside. So if I look at the world and I think this is wrong, this is bad, this is terrible, this is awful, this person's mean, this person's blowing people up, I don't like that. Those are reflections of parts of me that I haven't wanted to fully look at. So as I see the world outside of me is as I actually am inside of me. And the beauty of that is that it goes both ways. And the beauty of that is that if I do my own work, I face my shadows, I hug them, give them a big hug, and welcome them into the fold. And like, yep, I have that part of me too. Yep, that person who's bombing the other person, yeah. I'm not happy about it. It's not something I'm proud of. It's not something I ever want to act on. But I've felt that way before too. I've felt that angry before, like I just wanted to blow something up. That's true about me. There's a lot of power in that. And when each one of us can actually face all the parts of ourselves and bring them in and love them and finally find that huge treasure that's inside of our shadow, that's the moment the whole earth will be healed. And that, my darling, means that you Y-O-U, you. Absolutely you hold the power to change the world, literally. And that's the beautiful magic part. And we can do it through embracing, expressing, honoring, thanking, loving, forgiving, and balancing out our shadow parts. What if it turns out you're perfect? Well, I would like to support you if you start walking down this road and you realize, oh, you know what? I could use some support here. I like what River was saying, but now that I started trying it, it's not that easy. Because it's not that easy, or we'd already all be healed. It's not easy to face the shadow. So if you would like to have a guide and have assistance in facing your shadows, that's exactly what I'm here on earth to do, my darling. I first encourage you to hop on my email list at riverroaring.com. Hop on my email list and let's have a personal relationship and a personal connection off all the rest of the platforms. And then you won't miss out on any awesome thing that's coming through the pike, and you can hit reply and talk to me anytime. So first, hop on my email list. It's free, riverroaring.com. And then, if you want to go deeper, consider coming to Austin, Texas, because here in Austin, Texas, we have some evening events, we have weekend events, and I do work with people privately, one-on-one, in person. If you don't live here, we can set up one-on-one work with you traveling here. So it's all possible. And on my website, riverroaring.com, click on calendar, and you'll see when the events are. Come and join us sometime, because we do this deep work. And I would love to fly by your side as you liberate your shadow and liberate all of your personal power. Because I'm on earth to support those who are called to bring maximum love and light into their lives, liberating their self-expression in all realms, where all is sacred, connecting with you to create a cosmic web of love and light throughout the realms. Every person hearing this podcast, no matter when you hear it, there's a beam of light between you and I and every other listener. And what a beautiful web we make, my darlings. We are twinkling stars, because together we can step into a more harmonious vibration, and we can fly higher, shifting human consciousness forever for the highest good of all beings. So, my darling, I hope you've enjoyed this broadcast. I hope it's been useful for you. And may the love be with you. And may the love be with us all.